I'm Jason Dane from News at Cisco, here with Professor Peter Shergold. We're talking about Web 2.0 and Government 2.0. Professor, first of all, could you tell me what is Government 2.0? How would you define it?
I define it as the next stage, very significant and potentially transformative stage of government development. I was in the public service in Australia for 20 years. And during that 20 years, there were very significant reforms to public service. One of the greatest was the decentralisation of power from the central agencies to line agencies to operational agencies. And that, I think, had a very significant impact. You could call it Government 1.0. But now I see a real potential to use the enabling power of technology to involve citizens in far more direct ways, to make a much more collaborative form of government. To me, Government 2.0 is about a shared power world, a world of network governance.
What would you say are the main challenges that you need to face when trying to achieve this vision?
The challenges, I don't think, are technological. In fact, the technology, the social media in particular, already exists. The challenges are about political will and probably about cultural leadership. Are people willing to use the technology in particular to embrace different ways of doing things, of involving citizens in framing the questions and coming up with the solutions? Now that, I think, is a big challenge. But the challenge is not technological. Technology is there and it is developing. The challenges are political and cultural.
So what role does technology play then?
Well, I think the social media in particular, everything from wikis to YouTube to Facebook, have presented ways in which it is much easier for government to communicate with citizens, and that's happening. But it's also provided a means for citizens to directly engage with government and public services far more directly than ever before, and in real time.
Once you have Government 2.0 in practice, what will be the benefits to citizens?
I think you'll see it in a number of ways. The big challenge is to be able to tailor the delivery of government services and programs to the needs of individual citizens. Governments have started to work with what we call the third sector, the not-for-profit sector, in the last 20 years. It used to be that usually the not-for-profit organisation made a submission and got a grant for government to do something. Increasingly, those organisations are now being used by governments to actually deliver government programs and services. It's a contractual relationship. There is now the potential, I think, to involve those organisations, the third sector organisations that deliver government, to allow them to contribute to the making of the policy of the programs under which they deliver. But the second thing is there is the potential to put citizens in control themselves. In other words, in Australia, we have now introduced a program where if you're looking for work, if you're a job seeker, you are able to make your own decisions to some extent about, well, what are the range of education, employment and training services that you want to package to your own need. In other words, what technology allows you to do is to start to tailor government in ways which was inconceivable a couple of decades ago.
As you've travelled the world, what have been the places where you've seen Government 2.0 being most advanced, perhaps?
I think the United Kingdom is moving a very significant way. I've seen some developments in Canada. I know more about the Anglo countries. I think in Australia we have moved, in some ways, a significant degree, involving not-for-profit organisations in delivering government services and giving citizens a choice of providers, information on which school to send their child to, which university to use, which hospital you might want to use. I think in the United Kingdom there has been much more work in terms of trying to give to develop programs that allow citizens to take control of their own programs and services.
Finally, what's your favourite Government 2.0 application to date?
I think what I particularly like is the way politicians sometimes try and grab hold of the new technology without actually understanding the democratic values that underlie it. So that a politician comes along and sees that young people are using Facebook. So the politician thinks, well, I'm going to use Facebook, or I'm going to establish my own blog, and to use it in a traditional way to convey a politically spun message. It's another way of doing a media release. But in fact, without realising that the technology in the hands of the people who use it can be used in ways that undermine that message, so that usually a politician who does a blog or is on Facebook will quickly find out that there are spoof sites being developed, and that in fact it gives rise to a democratic debate which probably had not been anticipated when the politician thought, oh, I'm going to use some of this new technology to show how with it and modern I am.
Professor Peter Shergold, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much.